So over the past few seasons, Manchester United have had a huge problem in the goalkeeper position. Andre Onana was signed to fix it, and it did not work at all. And in fact, we even had problems at the start of this campaign. Altay Bayındır started the campaign in goal and did some things well, with his distribution for example, but actually the basics, shot stopping, cross claiming, he was pretty terrible and actually made some big errors leading to goals. First day of the season against Arsenal, he doesn't do well enough to defend the goal, and this one against Brentford, I still feel that he pretty much dives out of the way of the shot, which is not what you want from your goalkeeper, and I think it's fair to say that Bayındır contributed to our poor defensive start to the season, conceding 11 goals in the first 6 matches, which is approximately 1.8 goals conceded per 90 minutes. But then something changed. Of course, we brought this man,
Senne Lammens,
into the starting 11. Now, yes, it has only been 2 games, but in those 2 games, we have only conceded 1 goal, we've won both matches, we've secured our first defensive clean sheet, and we're only conceding 0.5 goals per 90 minutes. And like I said, it is a small sample size. It is only 2 matches. We really have to judge this further into the season. But very early on, Lammens is bringing a confidence into the Manchester United back line. And that's because all of the basics, he's getting them right. And that is what you need from your new goalkeeper. So when it comes to Lammens, what are we talking about in terms of getting the basics right? Well, it starts off with the distribution. Typically in modern football, when you sign a new goalkeeper, you look at several things, and one of those things is distribution. It's their ability to punt the ball long, but also to play the ball short and play out in the first phase. This was something that we spoke about a lot when we were scouting him. The fact that he could sort of be used as an extra man in build-up, he could play the ball with both feet to help United improve in the first phase. So far, we haven't seen that, because in the 2 games that he has played, Manchester United have been incredibly direct. You can see Lammens' pass map over the past 2 matches, on both occasions sending the ball long on a regular basis. And of course, as a result, his passing numbers have taken a massive hit. His pass percentage looks absolutely terrible, but we've got to remember that's because he's sending the ball long. It's difficult to be accurate and have 90% pass completion when you're punting the ball 60 yards at a time. So the pass completion isn't actually too important. What's more important, what's more interesting to look at, is the tactical role that it sort of provides for the team. Lammens' long passing ability is allowing United to skip a good 60% of the pitch a lot of the time. And that's because his passing range is fantastic. The distance he gets on his long kicks is really impressive. I was aware of his long passing ability, and particularly the fact that he could use both feet. I like the fact that the trajectory is quite low. He doesn't loop a ball ridiculously high, which can sometimes give the centre-back the advantage. He actually drives it quite low, which gives the striker an advantage in my opinion. But what I sort of perhaps didn't acknowledge enough when we were scouting him was actually the sheer distance. He can kick the ball so far, and like I said, it just skips so much of the pitch for United, and tactically what that has done has allowed United to pick up second balls. So because the drive of the pass is so good off of both feet, he's not restricted to a certain angle, a certain side of the pitch. He can play left, he can play right. He's going to get distance on it, and either play towards a target man like Benjamin Sesko, or play to Cunha, who actually doesn't challenge the ball, steps off into midfield, and allows Manchester United to win the second ball. And we can see so far this season, Manchester United have been the best side in the league for the second ball success rate. So you can see that's what Lammens is doing. His long passing, the fact that he's willing to do it regularly, the fact that he can do it off both feet, the fact that he's got that low trajectory and he drives it really far, has actually been kind of huge for United and sort of key to us winning the past 2 football matches. Now, something else that Lammens has been doing is claiming crosses, and that will be music to the ears of all Manchester United fans and also the United defenders. Over the past few seasons, even with David De Gea, to be honest, we weren't good at dealing with crosses into the box. We had goalkeepers who would often sort of come out and flap at the ball and sort of unsettle the Manchester United defenders. They're not bringing a confidence to the back line. Lammens has changed that, and I'm really pleased, because it appears as though I may have been wrong. When we were scouting Lammens, this was one of the things I was concerned about. All of the stats showed a goalkeeper that could come out and claim the ball incredibly well, yet the eye test, watching him play, I thought that he struggled a little bit. What we've seen since he's been at United, again the sample size is rather small, but what we've seen so far is a very confident goalkeeper, someone who's sort of coming out to claim crosses whenever possible. If he feels there's a chance, he's going to try. Whether that's in open play like this, or actually at a set piece over someone like Virgil van Dijk, Lammens is taking every opportunity to come towards the ball. Now, what I should say is that I don't think he's been truly tested just yet. I would say what we have seen so far is that the balls he has been claiming have been sort of high lofted floated balls, which in my opinion are always going to suit the goalkeeper. The longer the ball hangs in the air as it comes in, I think the goalkeeper's got more opportunity, more time to sort of assess the situation and to time his jump to go and claim the ball. So far, Lammens has done that well, which may be why his numbers were so good last season. Perhaps last season he was facing a lot of sort of lofted, floated balls into the box. The true challenge will be when teams sort of start fizzing them in a bit more. Not necessarily on the floor, still at sort of head height coming into the box. But that's when it'll be a little bit more interesting to see. The sample size is small right now, but what I would say is that Lammens has dealt with everything that's come into the box very, very well, and that's all you can ask for. We can't blame him for not facing a certain type of cross yet. The crosses he has faced, he has dealt with very well, very comfortably, very confidently, and that's really, really important for the rest of the defence. What you really want as a centre-back is to know your goalkeeper's got you covered. To not have to worry about your goalkeeper constantly dropping a ball or making a mistake, or is he going to flap at this cross? Knowing that your goalkeeper is going to come out and just deal with it is exactly what you want, and so far Lammens has been doing that pretty darn well. Now, of course, we can't talk about a goalkeeper without talking about actually saving shots, the number one job of a goalkeeper, which we sometimes seem to forget about in the modern day. Lammens has come in and he's been solid for United, which has been a big upgrade. I don't know that he's done anything out of this world yet in terms of shot stopping. I haven't seen a save which has truly blown my mind. I haven't seen an incredible double save, for example, but he's doing the basics very well. And that's what United didn't have at the start of the season. Start of the season, Bayindir was playing in goal, and it felt like any shot anywhere near our goal had a chance of going in the net. As fans, you sort of sit there, you see the opposition line up a shot, they shoot, they release it, and in the back of your head you're thinking, please don't drop it. Please don't let this slip through you. It was the same with Onana last season. The shot would come in, and in the back of your mind you're just thinking, please just deal with it. With Lammens at the moment, we don't seem to have that. I seem very confident when shots are coming towards our goal. I feel confident that he's going to save it. Again, that doesn't mean necessarily pulling off worldies or anything like that. It means that he's doing the basics. And it feels to me that when shots are coming in, he does a good job of getting his full body behind the ball. He's nice and safe. Almost a boring goalkeeper, if you like. We're not looking at camera saves here. We're just looking at a goalkeeper doing the basics very well. We've seen high saves, but we've also seen saves low with his feet, which is something that I think we will see more of. Perhaps he needs to work on sweeping and closing the angle a little bit better, sort of applying pressure a little bit sooner, but that may be a tactical instruction, or it may be a confidence thing, sort of playing it safe in a new league, in a new environment, under so much pressure. But I think so far Lammens has done really good with his shot stopping. And actually, in terms of post-shot XG stopped, Lammens is actually already third in the Premier League, which is pretty good. Last season in the Belgian league, he done very well, was in the top 2 by an absolute mile for the amount of goals stopped compared to expected. So to start so strongly in the Premier League already is a very, very good sign. Like I said, he is already third, despite playing 6 less matches than some of the other keepers. So he's doing a very good job, and yes, it's the basics, but it's the basics that we've needed doing. It's the basics that we haven't done over the past few seasons, which is why it feels like such a big change. Now, of course, the thing that I need to keep reiterating is the fact that the sample size is so small. We are talking about 2 football matches, not a season-long campaign. So this is only the beginning of Lammens at Manchester United. But so far, he's ticking the boxes. He's doing the basics. If you want him to claim crosses, he's claimed crosses. If you need him to send the ball long and play safe with his distribution, he's been able to do that. And actually, it's been somewhat of a tactical weapon, really, for us as we've looked to move the ball forward. He's claiming crosses, he's stopping shots, he's taking pressure off his defenders. And the best thing about it all is that it feels safe. It doesn't feel shaky. It feels quite confident. Quite boring, like I've said. It feels like a goalkeeper who's not particularly flashy. He just gets the job done. But that's what United have needed for so long. Not a goalkeeper who necessarily makes the headlines every week, but maybe a goalkeeper you don't notice. I would love it if every weekend we don't even notice our goalkeeper because he's just done the basics incredibly well and taken all of the pressure off of the defenders. And I really don't think we can ever truly understand, actually, as fans, just how important that is for the centre-backs. Football is such a psychological game. We are talking about 11 humans versus 11 humans. So the confidence of players is so huge, particularly for defenders. When they've got confidence in their goalkeeper behind them, it means that they can focus on their own job a little bit more. They don't feel that they've got to sort of hold the hand of the goalkeeper. They can go and attack the ball themselves and know that the keeper's got them covered. And that's what Lammens is doing for us early on in his Manchester United experience, really, his time here. Of course, there are going to be bigger challenges coming. Like I said, I'm expecting a different type of cross to unsettle him a little bit more. It'll be interesting to see how he deals with that. It'll be interesting to see how he deals with a setback. At some point, you would expect him to concede several goals in one game or to make a mistake, perhaps. That will happen at some point. It's inevitable, really, particularly at Manchester United. What we will need from him, what we will need to see is the reaction, the response. If he responds well in those moments, then we really could be looking at a top young goalkeeper. The aim today isn't to sit and talk about a Lammens masterclass, because it hasn't been that. But early on, he's settled the Manchester United defence. He's just made things a little bit calmer, a little bit more shored up. And right now, that is all we needed, which is why right now, that's all we are going to talk about. We are going to stop the video there. A little bit of a shorter one today. Not crazy in-depth analysis, but just sort of an observation that we've all had, that Lammens is shoring up the defence and that confidence can quickly spread through the rest of the team. So yeah, that is all for today. Thank you guys very much for watching this video. I hope you have enjoyed it. If you have, please leave a like, subscribe, and get your notifications on. And as always, I'll see you in the next one.